Water. Water is life. Hey, Frumpty Dumpties. Welcome to the show. Welcome back, friends. It's Anders. Today, we are making grog. That's right. This is something I think there's a little misconception about. So, grog is an old word, and it's come to mean, to a lot of people, basically just kind of a boozy beverage. Now, personally, I think that rum has to be in grog, but there's even more to it. Grog is actually a thing. It dates back a long time ago to the 1700s. It predates cocktails, although the formula for a traditional grog is very familiar. I'll explain when I talk about the history here, because this one is rich in history. And we're gonna attempt to make true original grog, and then we're gonna update that grog to make it yummier, thanks to yours truly. And then I'm gonna make another grog that isn't actually a grog, but it's what people think of grog today. So there's a lot to cover, a lot to explain, a lot to unpack, so stick around. If you are new to the channel, I was gonna say you know what to do, but if you're truly new to the channel, you probably don't know what to do. Here's what you do. You hit that subscribe button for more sips, tips, and recipes. All right, now let's go make some grog. To the bar. All right, the history of grog. This is great because we're going way back. So sit back, relax, and let Anders tell you a tale from the high seas. Let's go back in time to 1740, the year of our Lord. On the high seas in the Caribbean, the British Royal Navy was sailing about, and it was very common, actually for a long time, that the British Navy had rations of rum. They also had rations of gin, depending where they were. It's a whole other story. But here in the Caribbean, all the sailors would get actually a good amount of really bad rum every day. And in this day, in 1740, there was an admiral named, I have to look at my notes here because I don't know him personally, Admiral Edward Vernon. He was doing his admiral business out on the high seas, and he noticed his men, after they drank a half pint of rum, they're getting a little tipsy, and they weren't very good soldiers. So he decided, what we're gonna do here, instead of giving them one ration, we're gonna cut that in half and give them 2 rations over the course of the day. The sailors got 2 half rations, but he didn't stop there. He said, we are going to dilute this drink to bring the proof down, and maybe we'll have better sailors in the process. Now, out on the high seas, the water that they had wasn't necessarily great. They didn't have a Brita filter. Again, I wasn't there. I imagine they had barrels filled with water. Maybe it was rainwater, but you're out in the high seas and things get sloshed around. So from what I read, odds are that water was brackish, meaning it wasn't salty water, but it wasn't necessarily nice crystal clear water either. It wasn't necessarily fresh water. It was somewhere in the middle. And the ratios, by the way, apparently was 1 part rum to 4 parts water. And also this was not good rum. So these drinks that they were given every day probably didn't taste that great. So soon thereafter, Admiral Vernon decided to allow the sailors to exchange their food rations. You know, apparently you had rations if you wanted to get bread. You had so many rations you were given. Same with like salt or meat. I don't know how they did it. Anyway, you could exchange those for sugar and limes. No, they had limes because of scurvy, but this is not about scurvy. Anyway, the idea was that the sailors, if they wanted to, they could exchange their food for limes and sugar to make their rations of rum taste better, because there was, just a bunch of water in it. And again, remember, this is in the 1700s. This was long before the daiquiri. We've got rum, limes, and sugar in this drink. This is like 150 years before the daiquiri. It's also a very similar build to a caipirinha, I'd like to point out. And this predates that as well. Now, how do we get the name grog? What does grog mean? Well, apparently, Admiral Vernon, he had a favorite overcoat. He did. He wore this overcoat, and the material was called grogram, which is a woven material that is stiffened and weathered, made weatherproof with gum. The sailors called him Old Grogram. Respectfully, I'm sure. They just shortened that grogram to grog. That's how we get the name. Can you believe that? Oh, I should point this out. In the intro, I didn't say we're talking grog, not glug. It kind of looks the same when you read it. It's a completely different drink. Back to the story. Fast forward 200 years. Tiki mania hits, well, I'll say the world, but really Southern California, and spread across the United States and everywhere else from there. But with the tiki culture, like they kind of appropriated everything else, they assimilated grog into tiki culture. And they started making their own grog. And when I say they, I'm really referring to Don the Beachcomber and Trader Vic. There were all kinds of grogs that had a million ingredients in them. And they were actually more like a punch than what we're talking about here with, you know, the brackish water and all that. Like, what are some? There's a whole bunch of them. Colonial grog, Navy grog is the most popular. We're not gonna make that one today because I kind of feel like that one deserves its own episode. So let me know in the comments down below if you want me to cover the Navy grog. There was one called the Luau grog. I don't have to go down and name all the grogs. We're gonna make one of those tiki grogs today. It's called Don's Own Grog. Today, I am going to make that OG Grog the best I can to my ability, using the ratios 1-to-4, rum to water. But I'd also, another aside, that ratio, over the years, that ratio shifted to more of a 1-to-2, 1 part rum to 2 parts water, all the way until they stopped giving out rum rations in 1970. So grog's been around for a long time. I'm gonna make my approximation of the original grog, but I want it to taste decent. So I'm not gonna use brackish water. I'm also using quality rum. I'm not gonna use, shit rum. And then what we're gonna do is I'm gonna make that again, but update it, give it a facelift. But I'm just gonna make it a little bit differently that is more palatable and more contemporary. And then number 3, we're gonna go off the rails and make Don's Own Grog, which has all these ingredients. Not really a grog by definition, but we can kind of look at the beginning and see where it ended up and ask ourselves what happened. All right, so let's dive right in. Now, the booze. Is there like a cool way to do this? Or today's video is sponsored by ZBiotics. ZBiotics pre-alcohol probiotic drink is the world's first genetically engineered probiotic. It was invented by PhD scientists to tackle rough mornings after drinking. Here's how it works. When you drink, alcohol gets converted into a toxic byproduct in your gut. It's this byproduct, not dehydration, that's to blame for your rough next day. Pre-alcohol produces an enzyme to break this byproduct down. Just remember to make ZBiotics your first drink of the night, drink responsibly, and you'll be feeling your best tomorrow. If you want to try it for yourself, click the link down below or use this QR code to receive 15% off your first order. ZBiotics is backed with a 100% money-back guarantee. If you're not satisfied, they'll refund your money, no questions asked. And remember, always drink responsibly. Thank you, ZBiotics. Onto the film. Oh, man. Let's go ahead and move forward, move on with our lives. What was the wisest thing one of my barbacks told me? He said, should I move on with my life? And I said, yes. And I hope he's doing great things. I have no idea. I forgot to mention in the history, I wanted to show you this book. This is And a Bottle of Rum, A History of the New World in 10 Cocktails by Wayne Curtis. I've plugged this book before because I've read it a number of times and I love it. This is my second copy, that's why it looks so nice. It's very good. And there's a whole chapter on grog. This is why I show you this. So a lot of what I was telling you, I learned by reading this book. All right, so on to whatever we're doing. To make the authentic grog, we will need Navy rum. I'm not used to pulling it out from this side. I've got this camera over here, so I can't have all the bottles like that. We will need water, a lime, and sugar. All right, see how that is? So the Navy rum, it's Navy strength rum. This is also a molasses-based rum. It's a darker rum, more or less kind of what they were drinking, although back then they were drinking really bad rum. This is actually very good rum. It's just higher proof, and we're gonna be adding a lot of water here, so that's why you want that higher proof rum in this drink. As for the water, this is good, filtered, clean, fresh water. I also have it chilled because we're not adding ice here. On the high seas in the 1700s, the ice machine was empty. A lime, because I decided to trade in my bread rations for a lime. And then sugar, Demerara sugar. It's not as refined as, you know, that bright white granulated sugar. This is probably closer to the sugar they had aboard the vessels on the high seas. And I traded my salt rations for this sugar. Let's build. Okay, here we go. We are going to build this in the glass. I'm gonna grab a chilled glass. Not that it matters, but I like things cold. So, very much like the glasses they had on the ships years ago. Remember, we're doing 1 to 4, 1 part rum to 4 parts water. This one in particular is 55.7% alcohol, which is what, 111.4 proof. All right, 2 ounces of your Navy rum. This is a good rum, by the way. If you're looking for a good Navy rum, I do like this bottle. Right, now water. Because we did 2 ounces of rum, we want to take that 2 ounces, multiply it by 4. What do we have? 8. Yes, that's right. A cup of water. 1.5, 3, 4.5, 6, 7.5, and 8. Not the most efficient way to measure that out, but it worked. I do want lime in there. That's why I gave up my bread rations. So I don't know. I'm guessing you got a lime if you had a lime ration. I don't know. Maybe it was only half. It's actually a pretty color. It kind of looks like apple juice. Go ahead and squeeze the lime. It's a juicy one. I'm gonna do the whole thing. Yeah, I'm doing the whole thing. I don't care. If I was on the high seas in 1700s and they gave me a lime, I would probably use the whole thing. I also don't want scurvy. And sugar, I really have no idea how much sugar you got back then, so I'm gonna do 2 heaping bar spoons full of sugar. This is not an efficient way to make a drink, by the way. This sugar is not very fine. It's gonna sink to the bottom. It's not gonna do a whole lot, but hey, that's all right. This is what we're going for. I'm gonna stir this up. That looks good, right? It makes you wanna, what are some sailor terms? Hoist the jib? Is jib a thing? I wish I knew how to sail. I know nothing about sailing. I grew up on the water and I washed dishes. So I jet ski. I did. I rented jet skis for a summer. That was pretty great. There were no jibs on those vessels. All right, there we go. Excellent. So that looks pretty boring. Why don't we give it a little garnish? This is gonna be my twist on it. And we can only work with what we were given. You know? Yeah, I was given this lime from my quartermaster or whatever. My superior gave me this lime. I'm gonna use it to garnish my drink as well. Make a little boat there. Imagine we're on a boat and this is a boat in my drink. It's topical. Look how full that is. This is before cocktails, people. This, yeah, I mean, if you've never even like heard of a cocktail or seen a cocktail, maybe this is the most wonderful thing ever. There we have it, the authentic grog. Oh, my boat's sinking. Need a bilge pump for my garnish. Get as much of that sugar dissolved as possible. I have a whole lime's worth of juice in there, so it's probably gonna be pretty sour. To Old Grog rum. It's not great, but I gotta tell you, if you're out on the high seas, it's not bad. Again, what really actually makes this palatable is I'm using a nice rum, a good strong rum so I can taste it. It is watered down, it's very sour, there really isn't a whole lot of sweetness. Maybe at the bottom of this thing, we'll get some of that sugar and it's gonna be lovely. But I'm not even gonna make it to the bottom here. We are gonna move on to updating this drink right here to a more modernized version of the grog. Before we move on though, Oz, would you care to have a sip of this scrumdiddlyumptious?
I'll try it.
There we go.
Ooh, murky.
Murky.
Okay.
It's not terrible.
It's not terrible.
Right?
It's sour.
Just because I'm curious, let's pretend this is brackish water. Just gonna add a pinch of salt, see if that, maybe they were onto something there. No, it's still not great. Let's move on to grog. Number 2, the modern grog. The better version. Okay, back to 1. Water, get out of here. Sugar, go away. Before I taunt you a second time. Need to crush some ice. I've been using this little ice crushing machine here for a little while. And actually the last time I did it, somebody out there, maybe it was you, commented, left a question. That was what I thought about this little ice crushing machine compared to the Hammer Lewis bag and the mallet. Different experience. It's a different consistency. With the Lewis bag, you get more of a powdery, snowy consistency. So if you want that, go with the Lewis bag. I, of course, still have mine and I will use that again. I'm just going through a cranking phase. It's gonna be like larger pieces. It's a bit more uniform than the Lewis bag. That's just some dumb thing that I got on Amazon. I'll leave a link down below if you wanna check it out. Oh yeah, sometimes it's a little more effort than you'd wish, but have at it. Nothing says professional bartender than this motion right here. Okay, more. To make the modernized grog, we will need that same navy rum, freshly squeezed lime juice, and a rich Demerara syrup. So as you can see, 3 ingredients. Oh, you're probably wondering, what about all that water? Well, here's the deal. Like, we're using crushed ice. Were you not watching? That was water. We're using frozen water instead. We're also gonna play with the ratios a little bit. Instead of squeezing the whole lime, we're gonna do lime juice. Not a big jump there, but the rich Demerara syrup, this is going to get incorporated into our cocktail a bit easier. So that's it, let's build. Begin. Oh, and love this machine. Don't get to use it enough. My little milkshake blender. This is great for tiki drinks. Adds a lot of air into the cocktail without over diluting it. Hamilton Beach, this is hammy. Hammy B. So we've got our shaking tin. We'll go back to that navy rum. We'll do the same, 2 ounces of navy rum, which actually is a good amount of rum when the rum is this proof. Let's go 1 full ounce of fresh lime juice, like a good amount of lime juice because there's gonna be a good amount of dilution with the crushed ice. And then 3/4 of an ounce of our rich Demerara syrup. Now I'm gonna add some crushed ice. I'm not gonna measure it out, but let's say half cup, 4 ounces. And then we'll probably add more crushed ice on top of it once it doesn't just add crushed ice. There. Keep that handy because we'll probably need more. All right, so this is gonna be about 5 seconds or so. Don't even think we need 5 seconds. More like 3 seconds, I think. See, it's like nice and fluffy, and I don't want to pour it all over, but doesn't that look... See how bubbly that is? That was minimal effort on my part. Don't sweat it. If you don't have one, that's okay. You can shake it. Just with some crushed ice, shake it, open pour into the glass. You don't want to overly shake it, but add some air. So open pour right into your chilled glass. There's room for more crushed ice, so fill her up. Definitely not what they were drinking in the 1700s. Oh, let's make it pretty. I've already thought of this. This is a dehydrated lime wheel because I can't think of anything more clever. We don't want to get too crazy here. This is still the original grog ingredients. There we go. Look at that. Easy. Easy, simple and easy. There we have the modernized grog. Cheers. So let's go in for a little taste. I mean, it just looks more appetizing, does it not? Outstanding. Honestly, this is kind of the perfect cocktail right now. It has a little bit of weight from that rich syrup. It's holding up to the dilution. You get the brightness from the lime. That rum is nice and strong and punchy. This, to me, has everything you want. I mean, I love, we're basically making a daiquiri here on crushed ice, like a dark daiquiri. If you watched our daiquiri episode a long time ago, I made a classic and a dark daiquiri. This is pretty similar to that dark daiquiri, but it's great. You get this funkiness from the rum. It's, a stronger proof, so it holds up to all that crushed ice. The brightness from the lime, the sweetness from the Demerara, this caramel, it's just good on so many levels. Way better than the authentic grog. And I think that most all of you are gonna agree with that. And this really is kind of dependent on the rum too. You want a good one. You want a good rum. You wanna take another sip, offer it to Oz. Yeah.
That is really, really good. 20 times better.
Yeah. Same ingredients, mind you. It's great. We could stop the video here, but I'm not finished because the story of grog moved far beyond those original days, those old days in the Caribbean. I say we move on. Let's make Don's Own Grog. Now the booze. This one coming up is in true tiki fashion, 1,000,001 ingredients. I have my theory as to why they do this. All right, so on to our third and final cocktail for this episode, the Don's Own Grog. Don is Don the Beachcomber. This is a classic tiki drink. I first discovered this, well, a version of this recipe in Sippin' Safari by Beach Bum Berry. Another great book, by the way, if you're looking for books. I'm your guy. So I'm doing things a little bit differently. It calls for a few different rums. And here's the thing with tiki. You can just mix all different kinds of rums together because rum as a category is so broad that you can get all kinds of yummy flavors to mingle together in one monstrosity of a drink. And that's tiki. And that's hip hop. And that's hip hop. I actually don't know that reference. I'm sorry.
You don't? Oh no.
No. Wait, is that the dancing thing?
Yes.
Oh, okay. I do know the reference then. That lady, yeah. So, to make Don's Own Grog, my version of Don's Own Grog, we will need Jamaican rum, a lightly aged rum, a rum agricole, creme de mure, fresh lime juice, a rich Demerara syrup, grenadine, Angostura bitters, and why not, we'll put a little grated nutmeg right on top. I just want to point out how strange it is that this is something that is called a grog when it started from rum and water. Like that was grog. And then, yeah, you can add a little lime and a little sugar. And then somehow we got to this. And here's my theory as to why there are so many ingredients. I mean, look at the sweeteners. We got 2 separate sweeteners here. We've added bitters. Actually, we've got 3 separate sweeteners because we have a liqueur added, different rums, all that. My theory is that the tiki bartenders back in the day, they were very secretive about their recipes. They didn't want anybody recreating them. And if you have a cocktail with 10,000 ingredients in it, it's really hard to replicate. So that's my thought process. Some tiki drinks, I feel like there's actually too many ingredients. It gets a little muddy and it just starts tasting like some sort of tropical extravaganza. And nothing wrong with that, but I am a simple man. That said, I do enjoy a number of different rums. So here is our base. We've got the Jamaican rum is gonna be the true base of the cocktail here. Jamaican rums have a very distinct flavor. This one's actually kind of soft, just nice on its own. I'm adding a lightly aged rum here. This is a blend of column still and pot still rums. You can really use any rums you want here. If you wanna break down rum styles, then check out that video. And then I'm adding a rum agricole because I really do like rum agricole mixed with Jamaican rums. This is a bit grassier. It's made from cane juice as opposed to molasses, so different style, but they all work really well together. The creme de mure, that's kind of a weird one. Blackberry, but it works in this cocktail. Lime juice keeps it bright. We've got the rich Demerara syrup that we used before. The grenadine, this is my shameless plug for the grenadine I made in collaboration with Portland Syrups. If you want, you can use your own homemade grenadine, that's gonna be great, but you do want kind of a tart pomegranate flavor. In my opinion, this is the best store-bought grenadine, hands down. Enough said. The rest is self-explanatory and nutmeg was just gonna be grated on top. So, let's build. Okay, very good. So let's start. Let's start with the Jamaican rum, another great rum. I could talk all day about rum, but I'm not going to. So let's start with 1 ounce of Jamaican rum. To that, we will add half an ounce of our light rum, another half ounce of our rum agricole. Oh, it's a twist off. I thought it was a cork. Classy. 1/4 ounce of the creme de mure. This is what we gotta be careful with. The creme de mure, a little goes a long way. Let's do 3/4 of an ounce of fresh lime juice. Then we're not done yet. We're gonna keep going. 1/4 of an ounce of the rich Demerara syrup. Maybe consider batching this one if you were gonna be serving this to other people because it takes forever to make the damn thing. The grenadine, kind of a funny addition, if you ask me. A lot of tiki drinks have grenadine called for in the recipe. And I love grenadine. If I went ahead and made my own. But in this drink, with the creme de mure, the first time I read it, I scratched my head. Not literally, but in my head, I was scratching it. So, 1 bar spoon of grenadine. Good. Tart. Thick. Pomegranate. Grenadine. Oh, and Angostura bitters. 1 dash of Angostura bitters with these smaller dasher bottles. It's 2, these are like half dashes, but just 1 dash Angostura bitters. Nutmeg we'll save for later. Add crushed ice, flash blend. There we go. Gonna add a little bit more here. 3 to 5 seconds. You know what I smell is that creme de mure, that blackberry. And we just did a little bit. See what I'm saying? I told you it can overpower things if we're not careful. Good thing we were careful. Grab a chilled low bowl, open pour into your chilled glass. Top off with more crushed ice. Let's add our grated nutmeg right across the top. Let's garnish. We can do whatever we want. Clearly, we've broken away from that grog template. So I'm gonna add my usual pineapple fronds. I like to keep frozen pineapple fronds in the freezer. When you get them fresh, you clean them up, put them in the freezer in a Ziploc bag. Here, I'll show you. Like this, also not sponsored by Ziploc. A freezer bag. I'm not even gonna show you the logo because they haven't even reached out once. But I keep the little pineapple fronds because it's easy garnishing. But I would recommend, kind of wiping them clean. Sometimes, when you buy a pineapple, it has like this weird dust, or I don't know what that is on the pineapple fronds. Drop in your pineapple fronds. That looks pretty good. Why not? We got ourselves a little bumbershoot, a parasol. This will give it a pop of color, but also shade our crushed ice from the UV rays from the sun. Keep that ice nice and cold. Look at that. That is a proper looking tiki drink. There we are. There we have Don's Own Grog. Cheers. We're done working. We've earned this. I feel like this is a long episode. Cheers. Not bad. That's pretty good. Actually, it's really good. It's balanced, it's fruity, just that little bit of creme de mure. It comes out an interesting flavor, a blackberry in tiki drinks. You think of more tropical flavors. You get a little funkiness from the rum. It's really nice and refreshing. If I'm gonna be completely honest with you, I honestly prefer the updated grog recipe. This one right here, that's melting before my eyes. It's cleaner, You get the pop of rum, the brightness, the sweetness, and that's it. Even now, it's been sitting on crushed ice, it's diluted, highly, highly drinkable. Not that this isn't, but this is just like more of a fruity punch. And I think a lot of people would really, really like this. It's just there's so much going on. The grenadine, the creme de mure. I'm not sure 1 dash of bitters, what that actually does in there. I just want to be honest with you. That's what I want, right? But it's good. Oz, would you like to try this after this glowing description here?
Thank you.
You're welcome. It's good though. It's refreshing.
It's fruitier.
If you were to hand me this drink, I'd never had it before, and you say, here, try this grog, I would say, you're crazy. This to me is not a grog. It's more of a punch, There's nothing wrong with it. I just feel like, in this case, Don the Beachcomber just kind of grabbed the word grog, threw it on the name of this lovely cocktail and ran with it. And I feel like we're really getting away from what grog was. I'm not saying I want to be drinking the authentic grog, but I think that was actually not so great. I just want to point out that the definition of grog has really changed over time. I mean, it predates cocktails. How cool is that? It's super old, and you can make it nowadays balanced and serve it in your fancy bar and charge a ton of money for something like this, and people are gonna be really happy because it's a really good drink. That's all I'm saying. But I did want to make a few different drinks, a few different versions. I'm gonna probably go ahead and make the Navy Grog if you keep watching this channel. So hit that notification bell, and when I do make it, you'll be ready to pounce. And I kind of need you to pounce, because if you watch those videos right away, it does good things for the algorithm, and that's what this is all about. No, that's not what this is all about. That's just what we want to have happen. This one was a bit more of a deep dive than I anticipated. Thank you for showing up. I hope you make one of these grogs. This one right here was pretty easy, right? Thank you, ZBiotics, for sponsoring today's film. As always, thank you, the viewer, for watching. Don't forget your merch. Oh, and sign up for the newsletter. Cheers. Bye.